Good news about the fourth stimulus checks, everybody. Democrats now urging Biden to raise the debt ceiling this month, and Joe Biden also announced that student loan payments will resume in just 2 months. So be sure to subscribe to my channel and stay until the end of this video to find out the most important stimulus check information. Now, President Biden is going to visit Kansas City this weekend to discuss his new bipartisan infrastructure package, and that's the latest stop in the White House's campaign to promote his legislative accomplishment. Do you think that Joe Biden is doing enough to send out the fourth stimulus check, or do you believe that he should do a better job in approving more stimulus payments for the American people? I want to know your thoughts on this, everybody. Tell me in the comments down below.
For what I think you will find a very, very informative and interesting program. At a time when our nation is seeing an obscene level of income and wealth inequality, and when I think, as all of you know, the people on top are doing phenomenally well, while at the same time working people are struggling, we are going in the next few weeks and months to be focusing on the needs and struggles of working people. And we are going to take a hard look at the increased level of unionization activities that we're now seeing all across this country. In an unprecedented way, workers, coast to coast, are beginning to stand up, fight back, and demand to be represented by a union. And tonight, something which is really, really exciting, we are going to be speaking to workers in Buffalo, New York, who are attempting to unionize 3 Starbucks shops in the Buffalo area. Now, you might say, why is an effort to organize 3 shops a big deal? And the answer is that Starbucks has some 15,000 locations, some of them corporately owned, some of them franchise owned, but 15,000 in the United States, and none of them, 0, are unionized, not one. So if these Starbucks workers succeed in their organizing effort, it will be a major breakthrough, not only for Starbucks employees, but for all workers in the low-wage service industry as a whole. This is an industry where people are paid some of the lowest wages in America, worst working conditions. If there could be a breakthrough here at Starbucks, it is a very big deal. And I should add here, and you'll hear a whole lot more about it tonight from our guests, that Starbucks management, to say the least, has been less than enthusiastic about this union organizing effort in Buffalo. In fact, they are doing everything, really in some incredible ways, everything they possibly can to defeat this union organizing drive. Now, let me say a word about the Starbucks Corporation. And the key point to be made here is that Starbucks is not a poor company. This is not some company that is struggling, trying to put a few dimes together. Quite the contrary. This year, Starbucks has already made over $4.1 billion in profits, 4.1 billion in profits. Last year, Starbucks had enough money to pay its CEO, Kevin Johnson, $14.7 million in total compensation. That's over 1,200 times what they pay their average employee. And I think this is also an interesting point to be made, that during the pandemic, the founder of Starbucks and the major stockholder in Starbucks, Howard Schultz, became $1.9 billion richer. That is just during the pandemic, and now has a net worth of almost $5 billion. In other words, Starbucks is a company that has the resources to provide its workers with good wages, with good working conditions, and good benefits. And now let me just divert for another moment and raise another issue that I find very, very interesting. And that is that many, not all to be sure, but many of Starbucks employees are younger people who come from a generation that has really struggled economically. And if you are a member of that younger generation, you know what I'm talking about.
Now, the White House also said that the president will discuss how the bipartisan infrastructure law delivers for the American people by rebuilding roads and bridges and upgrading public transit, replacing water infrastructure, and creating good-paying jobs. Biden has visited also many other states like New Hampshire, Michigan, and Minnesota. And as support for Biden has waned in recent weeks, Democrats have even argued even more that it is increasingly important for the president to promote on the infrastructure package in its near-term projects. Now comes the hard part, implementing what the administration lauds as a once-in-a-generation investment in rebuilding the nation's crumbling infrastructure. States could receive anywhere from $2 billion to $45 billion in non-grant funding for projects spanning needs like broadband infrastructure and electric vehicles. Now, the states receiving the most funding might not be surprising. Things like California, Texas, and New York are at the top of the list in terms of dollars. Each is getting more than $25 billion, and the United States News Data Analysis shows that the infrastructure dollars might have the biggest impact in states like Alaska, Wyoming, and Montana, although they might not be proportionate. Although the crisis may not be over, and the Federal Student Aid Director said during remarks this week that while the nearly 2-year pause has been welcome relief, no doubt, January 31st is the last day that borrowers can receive more relief. In regards to stimulus money, student loan payments have been on pause and not collected interest since March 2020. Now, Joe Biden took office in January, and he's extended the student loan moratorium twice. But the Education Department made clear in August that there will be no more extensions past February, meaning borrowers will have to face their student loan debts next year. The Biden administration also remains firm that 43 million Americans will experience a smooth transition back into paying off their student debt. But experts and lawmakers are not sure. Not only has Biden extended the student loan payment pause since he took office, he has also canceled student debt for about 600,000 borrowers. Now, while those cancellation measures fulfill his campaign promise of reforming broken loan forgiveness programs, which are measures provided within the law, Joe Biden also campaigned on approving $10,000 in student loan cancellation for every borrower. That's something he has yet to do. And Biden has signed into law a bill that will fund the government until February 18th. As according to the White House, he is avoiding the risk of a shutdown after the legislation met opposition from some Republicans. And both chambers of Congress passed the legislation to avoid a short-term shutdown of the government. It keeps the federal government running for 11 more weeks. Republicans have argued that Democrats need to raise debt ceiling alone. So, what are your thoughts on the Democrats and the Republicans, everybody? Are they doing all that it takes to send out the fourth stimulus check, or do you believe they're holding our stimulus payments back? Tell me what you think, everybody, in the comments below.